This is Don't Escape 2. It has 7 speedrun categories, and I'm going to try and get the world record in all of them. But first, what even is Don't Escape 2? Well, it's a classic point-and-click survival game made by ScriptWelder, released back in 2015 as a sequel to the equally iconic Don't Escape 1. The game is split into 2 phases, day and night. During the day, you have 8 in-game hours to scavenge supplies, recruit allies, and fortify your base. Once the clock runs down to 0, the night phase begins, and your base is besieged by zombies. Anywhere from 50 to 71 undead will attack your base depending on what actions you took during the day. There are 6 different endings, a default ending for just surviving, and 5 special endings for taking unique actions during the day. That's all you need to know for now. I'll explain more when it becomes relevant. Let's get into the runs. I started with the any percent category. For the uninitiated, any percent just means beating the game as fast as possible with no restrictions on which ending you have to get. The current record was a blistering 36.483 by Ascending Anthem, a full 11 seconds faster than second place. Let's break it down. From spawn, he travels right to pick up the shovel, then left several times to exit the base. He travels to the gas station to grab a pair of camera batteries and a coin. His next stop is the mall, where he enters and picks up a camera, inserts the batteries into it, kills the pit zombie with the shovel, and picks up Jeremy's glasses. Outside, he uses the coin to unlock a shopping cart, gives Jeremy his glasses, uses the cart to pick up some scrap fencing, and takes a photo of the drawing on the wall. He heads to the church, grabs an axe, and gives the photo to Father Bernard. Next up is the car crash site, where he chops wood with the axe and collects sticks. Back at base, he repairs the broken fence, builds a yard trap with the sticks, and ends the day phase. Because Anthem didn't use the gun during the day, only 50 zombies initially spawn, but since Bill, more on him later, wasn't killed during the day, he turns into a zombie too, bringing in the total to 51. The repaired fence holds off 15 of them, the stick trap stops another 15, and Jeremy and Father Bernard distract 20 between them. And since Anthem ended the day with the axe in his inventory, he's able to kill the last zombie with it, allowing him to successfully beat the game. As a bonus, since he didn't fire the gun during either the day or night phase, he gets the special Shadow ending, so this run is both the any percent and Shadow percent world record. And as you saw, it's an insanely optimized run, and boy, was it a nightmare to beat. See, in a point-and-click game like Don't Escape 2, the only real ways to save time are through routing and raw mouse speed. I didn't have a better route than Anthem, and my mouse movement was just not up to par. Anthem had run this game for 3 years, and I was just starting out. After about 3 hours of attempts, my best run was only 54 seconds, and most of my runs were barely scraping under a minute. It became pretty clear I didn't have the muscle memory to beat Anthem head-to-head. If I wanted a shot at getting the record sometime this century, I needed some kind of advantage, something to make up for my lack of skill. A few months earlier, I'd watched a video about the speedrunning history of Fireboy and Watergirl by Maximum. One of the biggest time saves in that game came from using an on-screen overlay, a transparent image that helped with menuing by letting runners see exactly where to move their mouse before the level select screen had even loaded. I figured I could try the same idea in Don't Escape 2. If I created an overlay that showed the locations of every place on my screen I had to click during the run, it could make up for my lack of experience in the game. After a few hours of experimenting, I found a program called LiveDraw that I could use to mark every important click location, doors, inventories, items, hitboxes, etc. Was it pretty? No. But it made sense to me. Using this overlay, I saw an immediate improvement, and over the course of an hour, my PB dropped all the way down to a sub 43. But here, I hit another roadblock. No matter what I did, I just couldn't break the 42-second barrier, let alone Anthem's 36.5. The overlay helped me plan ahead by letting me see where to click in advance, but it couldn't take control of my right hand and help me move my mouse faster. Even with the overlay, Anthem still had the advantage of refined muscle memory and execution from years of experience. So if I couldn't beat him at his own route, I'd have to make my own. Anthem's route visits all 5 map locations, so the most obvious time save would be to skip one of them. The only question was which location, if any, could be skipped. Now, the base obviously can't be skipped. You start every run there, and ending the game while outside of the base is an insta-loss. But what about the other locations? The car crash gives you sticks to build a yard trap. The mall gives you the camera used to befriend Father Bernard, the scrap wire, the glasses used to befriend Jeremy, and Jeremy himself. The gas station has the coin for the shopping cart and the batteries for the camera, and the church gives you the axe and Father Bernard. At first glance, every location seems essential, but after consulting the wiki, I found exactly what I was looking for. It turns out there's a mechanic I'd been unaware of. If you shoot one of your befriended NPCs, you can add them to the yard trap as a sacrifice. A live ally normally distracts 10 zombies, but a sacrificed one distracts 20, making a sacrificed ally worth double a live ally. That means that I could skip recruiting one of the NPCs if I sacrificed the other. Of course, firing the gun adds 5 extra zombies to the night phase, but there is a workaround for that. If you pick up the M cutter from outside the base and use it to break into the base cellar before night begins, 5 zombies will die by falling. That cancels out the gun penalty. The M cutter can also be used to break free the shopping cart at the mall, removing the need to get the coin from the gas station. Remember, the gas station only contains 2 useful items this run, the coin for the cart and the camera for Father Bernard. So if we don't need the coin, and we don't recruit Father B, then we can skip the gas station entirely. Anyways, here's how the new route goes. You start at the base, grab the shovel and dig a pit trap. This is slightly faster than using the sticks. Pick up the M cutter from the side of the base, head to the church, grab the axe and another bullet. At the car crash, grab the gun, then head to the mall, use the M cutter to unlock the shopping cart, grab the scrap fence, and grab the glasses to befriend Jeremy. Return to the base, repair the fence, break into the cellar with the M cutter, and, sorry Jeremy, shoot him to sacrifice him to the trap. Then end the day. At night, 56 zombies attack. 50 from the initial spawn, 5 because I fired the gun, and 1 because of Bill. The fence stops 15, the pit trap catches another 15, Jeremy's sacrifice distracts 20, the fall into the cellar kills 5, and the last one is taken out with the axe. All in all, this route is a little more optimized than Anthem's, and with it, my time started dropping again. Then, finally, I had a run that seemed like the one. A lightning-fast shovel grab, flawless inventory juggling at the mall, and a perfect cellar into Jeremy's sacrifice, resulting in a 35-24, a brand new any percent world record, more than a second of improvement over Anthem's run. Not too shabby. It wasn't a flawless run, and there were some mistakes, but I was pretty happy with it. There was just one small catch. Since I fired the gun to sacrifice Jeremy, this counted as a Governor percent run, not a Shadow percent run. So even though I beat Anthem's any percent time, his Shadow record was still standing, and I'd have to come back for it eventually if I wanted to sweep the game. But that's a problem for later me. For now, there were 6 more categories to go. The second record I went for was the Saviour category, and right away, a familiar name popped up. Anthem again. He held the record with a solid 49.033. That was over 25 seconds faster than second place. And considering the last record took me 2 full days and over 5 hours of attempts, I figured this one might be another grind. To get the Saviour ending, both Jeremy and Father Bernard have to survive the night. So my previous strategy of using them as zombie bait was completely off the table. I needed a new plan, and once again, I started by studying Anthem's route. His Saviour route is almost identical to his any percent. It starts with grabbing the shovel from spawn, then heading to the gas station, mall, church, and car crash in that order. But there are a few key differences. He picks up the key from the base dumpster, a bullet and water bottle at the gas station, a bag of cement and bricks outside the church, and the gun from the crash site. Once he's back at the base, he repairs the fence and builds the stick trap like usual, but instead of ending the day there, he heads inside, closes and locks the front door with a key, then heads into the next room to mix the water with the concrete powder to make mortar, and uses that, along with the bricks, to seal up the window. Then the run ends. I ended up using almost the same route, but with a few small optimizations. First, I delayed picking up the dumpster key. Instead of grabbing it right after spawn, I got it after building the stick trap. That saves a few milliseconds by reducing how far I have to move my mouse. Second, I found out you can hold right-click to quickly pick up multiple items in a row, like the ones at the gas station or church, instead of having to click each one individually. That saved time and removed the chance of missing an item due to bad mouse placement. And of course, I made an overlay. These small changes, plus just getting smoother after having just grinded the any percent route for 2 days, gave me a big edge. I beat Anthem's time pretty quickly with a 47.5. I thought about stopping there, but it honestly felt too easy. I knew I could go lower, and so I grinded. With that 44.85, I became the first person to break the 45-second barrier, and decided to call it quits for the day. It was getting late, but if I really wanted to grind it out for another few hours or so, I think a sub 44, or maybe even a sub 43, could be doable. But I was happy to leave that grind to someone else. For now, I was just proud to have cracked sub 45. And surely, nothing could possibly happen that would invalidate my entire run and force me to rerun the entire category 2 months after I'd forgotten everything. Right? A new day, a new record to beat. After spending so much time recruiting Jeremy and Father Bernard these last 2 runs, I was more than ready to ditch them. So I went for the Lone Wolf category. To get this ending, you have to survive the night without befriending any NPCs. And that's a massive limitation for 2 major reasons. Firstly, like in the Saviour run, you can't use your allies as bait to get rid of 20 zombies during the night phase. And secondly, without NPCs, you're on your own when it comes to building base defenses. As I mentioned earlier, setting up defenses eats away at the 8 in-game hours you start with. Normally, Jeremy and Father B would help speed up construction. Without them, everything takes way longer. Setting up a front yard trap alone burns 4 hours, and you still have to factor in travel time to get the materials for the defenses, as 10 to 20 minutes are used up each time you switch map locations. So front yard traps are out due to time constraints, and without NPCs, you can't distract zombies either. That means that the lone wolf route requires using every other defense in the game. The fence, which takes out 15 zombies, the generator, which takes out 5, a locked front door, which takes out 10, the bricked up window, which takes out another 10, ending the night in the closed cellar, which takes out 5, the gun and all 4 bullets, which take out another 4, killing Bill with the axe before the night phase, which takes out 1, and then the axe, which takes out another zombie. All of those defenses add up to exactly 51, just barely being enough to kill the 50 base zombies that spawn and the extra zombie that Bill would turn into. More on Bill later. Gathering everything you need for that setup takes a painfully long and winding route. That's why, out of all 6 single-ending speedrun categories, Lone Wolf is easily the longest. And yes, to absolutely no one's surprise, Anthem held the world record here too with a 56.3, but that was actually his oldest record, set 6 years ago, way before he had the tight movement and polished routing you see in his newer runs. If you compare his Lone Wolf and any percent runs side by side, the difference in execution is pretty obvious. There was actually no way to improve the Lone Wolf routes, so I simply had to beat Anthem on execution. And there's honestly not much to say about actually beating this record. It was fairly straightforward. After I made the overlay, it only took me 4 attempts to beat it by a full 4 seconds. And after a bit more grinding, I brought it down to a clean 46.969. And the next record on the list, Merciful. Fun fact, back in 2021, I submitted the first ever Merciful run to Speedrun.com. That technically made me the de facto world record holder, at least until Grid Mirax came along and took the title 2 years later. Well, it's been a few years, so I figured it was about time I took it back. The Merciful ending revolves around a character that I haven't mentioned much, Bill. You've probably seen him hanging out in the window room of the base during my other runs, and his name has come up once or twice so far. He's the main character's friend, but by the time the game starts, he's already been bitten, and if you don't deal with him, he turns into a zombie during the night. To get the Merciful ending, you have to ease his pain and then end his life. That means giving him painkillers from the gas station, giving him alcohol from the mall, and finally shooting him with the gun from the crash sites. And because firing the gun is required, it bumps the zombie count from 50 to 55. And, yep, Ascending Anthem held the world record here too, with a 59.5. It was a pretty recent run, so his movement was clean, but there was one key mistake in his routes. Here's what he did for defenses. He used 2 NPCs, the fence, the locked door, the bricked up window, and the cellar. The keen-eyed among you will notice that those defenses are enough to kill 60 zombies total, even though I just said only 55 spawn. Why? Well, he used 2 gunshots rather than just 1. One to kill Bill, obviously, and another to shoot the pit zombie guarding Jeremy's glasses, instead of using the shovel like in the any percent route. That way, he could skip picking up the shovel at spawn and save a few seconds. But in my run, I took the opposite approach. I grabbed the shovel at the start and used it to kill the pit zombie. That meant I only fired one bullet, so only 55 zombies spawned. That let me skip entering the cellar entirely. And it turns out, not going into the cellar saves more time than skipping the shovel. Along with that route change, I also tightened up a few smaller things, like cleaner mouse movement, faster cement mixing, quicker bullet loading, and better inventory juggling. With those improvements, and my overlay, I was able to claim the record after only 11 minutes of attempts, with a 56.09. After a bit more grinding, I pushed my time down to a 49.1, which, with retiming, becomes a 48.950, pushing me just below the sub 49 barrier. There's definitely more time that could have been saved, but it was getting pretty late, so I called it for the day. And at long last, here we are. The last of the 6 ending speedruns. It's no accident that I saved this record until last either. If you remember, this was the first record that I tried to beat, Anthem's 36.483 Shadow record, which used to be the any percent record. The same any percent record I found so impossible to beat that I switched to the governor route instead. There were no optimizations I could make to Anthem's route. It was perfect. If I wanted to beat him, it was going to have to come down to better mouse movement. So here we are. 5 records under my belt in as many days. Have I gotten good enough at the game that I could beat Anthem's 36.48? Yeah, I have. And it only took me half an hour of attempts to be a whole 7 seconds faster. Making the overlay actually took longer than getting the record. Apparently, I've gotten a lot better over the past few days because shattering Anthem's time wasn't even that hard. I can't even understand why I had so much trouble before. Jeez, maybe I should go touch some grass or something. I'm playing this game way too much. And since this time was faster than my governor time, it became the new % record. Told you I'd get that sub 35. And just like that, I only had one more record left. 100%. To get this one, you need all 6 special endings, plus the default one you get from surviving the night. Luckily, that doesn't mean 7 separate runs. Some of the endings are compatible, so with the right routing, you only need 3 runs total. 1 run gets you Survivor and Lone Wolf, 1 gets you Saviour and Shadow, and the last one gets you Merciful and Governor. And since I already held the individual records for all 6 endings, I figured this would be a quick win, nothing to stress about. Except, right after beating the Shadow record, I kinda dropped the game completely. I got sucked into NBA 2K and didn't come back to Don't Escape 2 for like a month and a half. Just long enough for my muscle memory to disappear. Good thing I only had one more run to... It turns out my Saviour run had been rejected because I somehow forgot to record the in-game audio. So now, not only was I rusty, I had to go back and redo a run I'd already finished. Luckily, I still had my overlay for the Saviour routes, and not all of my muscle memory was gone, just the vast majority of it. After a bit of relearning, I got the record back and brought the time down to a respectable 47.1.
Alright, 7 minutes. Let's see if we can get at least a sub 46. I don't think a sub 45 is happening today.
It wasn't a sub 45 like my rejected run, but I had no motivation to grind for a time I had already hit before. Anyways, back to the actual 100% run. Like I mentioned, I needed 3 routes. The Lone Wolf and Survivor combo was pretty easy. You get Survivor automatically when you complete a Lone Wolf run, meaning I could keep my original Lone Wolf routes. The Saviour and Shadow route was also pretty much the same as my original Saviour routes, except that in the original run, I used the gun to kill one of the zombies in the night phase. Instead, in the 100% routes, I killed Bill during the day with the axe. This had the bonus of letting me skip both picking up the crash site gun and the bullet from the church. The third run, for Merciful and Governor, was the only one where I really strayed from my original world record routes. I went through the usual locations, grabbed the shovel, dug the pit trap, picked up the painkillers and batteries, then hit the mall for the alcohol, camera, fence scrap, the picture, and Jeremy. Then the church for the axe, the bullet, and Father Bernard, and finally the crash site for the gun. From there, I gave Bill the painkillers and the alcohol, and then shot him to satisfy the conditions for the Merciful ending. After that, I went down to the cellar and sacrificed both Jeremy and Father B to the pit trap to get the Governor ending. It was kind of a mishmash of both the Merciful and Governor routes slapped together, but hey, if it works, it works. Since I used 3 bullets, 65 zombies spawned during the night phase. The fence took care of 15, the pit trap caught another 15, Jeremy and Father B handled 30 between them, and the cellar took out the final 5. And while writing this script, I just realized I didn't even need to grab the axe. So that's free time save for anybody watching. Beating the record didn't take very long. Anthem's route was outdated, and this run was from back when his movement wasn't nearly as polished. The biggest challenge was honestly just keeping all of the different runs straight. All 3 of the routes are so similar that I kept mixing them up, grabbing extra items or forgetting things that I needed. Even in my world record run, you can see me visibly pause a couple of times, trying to remember which run I was doing. Still, after all that, I managed to bring the record down to a 3:07, which was more than 30 seconds faster than Anthem's 3:38. Could I have gotten a sub 3? Probably, yeah. If I'd done this right after finishing the individual endings, with all of my muscle memory still fresh, I'm certain that I could have gotten it. Maybe even a sub 250. But I didn't, so whatever. The record's mine either way, and boy, I am done with this game. And that's a wrap. 2 months, 7 world records, and Don't Escape 2 officially swept. If you're watching this and you think you can beat my times, please go for it. I know that there are time saves in every one of my runs, and I'd love to see how far the limits of this game can actually be pushed. And if Anthem's watching, thanks for setting the bar. I only made this video because I saw that you had all 7 records, and that inspired me to try and take them down. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm currently working on sweeping the record for Haunt the House, Don't Escape 1, and Little Slime Blows Up, so stay tuned. Those videos will be out soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next run.